Hey everybody! It's been a hot second, but I'm here. I had a really busy end of October, and I did not finish Inktober because of it. I also kind of got tired of Inktober, not gonna lie. I just like drawing in color, prefer it, at least at this stage in my drawing journey. So I'm happy to be streaming again, but this time actually drawing stuff I'm more interested in. That's not just in black and white. I put up a poll on my Instagram. Well, not a poll necessarily, a question box on my Instagram asking for suggestions for what I should draw. And someone suggested that I draw Wookiees getting ready for Life Day. So, since Life Day is coming up in 11 days, I decided to go for drawing. I'm gonna draw Chewbacca, and I don't remember the name of Chewbacca's kid. It's like Chunky or Stinky or something. Something like not attractive. Not what you want to name your kid for the average person. My cat is very aggressively covering up the food she doesn't want to keep eating, and now she's eating it. She's a weird one. Actually thinking I might not. Oh, I forgot I was on that one. Hi, Bub. Actually, more I want this to go. This way. Nose is a little bit bare. Hi, Danny. I am drawing Wookiees. Danny asks, have you seen the holiday special? So, here's the thing. I have not. It's something that I've been wanting to do because, you know, of its infamous nature in the fandom, but I've never actually taken the time to watch it. Maybe this year will be the year. I always feel a little bit better knowing that Ashley Eckstein only watched it for the first time like last year. Like, okay, you can originate the role of Ahsoka Tano and still not have watched it until recently, then I feel like I have a leg to stand on. It's just one of those things, like, it's not super easily accessible. You can watch it on YouTube pretty easily, but a lot of times people don't think, oh, I want to go on YouTube to watch a movie. I guess some people do. There's a few movies, like, on YouTube Red or whatever their subscription services. Danny says, I've seen it on a bootleg website, but he did an emoji for a boot and a leg, which is funny. He says, I mean, it's more for the memes. Yeah. It's really just so that I can understand, you know, like, I don't actually have an understanding, a full understanding of its notoriousness. I don't know what's the best way to say it. Danny says, George gave a copy to Carrie as a gift. She once said she would play it at parties and gatherings because it's a surefire way to get people to leave. Incredible. I love that. That's absolutely how I feel at parties too. Especially ones I'm hosting. I'm like, all right, cool, y'all can leave now. I'm gonna go to bed. I feel like I didn't used to be like that. But the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't know. I just enjoy being alone. Or I guess doing my own thing. I'm okay if other people are around. I just want to have the ability to do my own thing, but when I'm like hosting and I have to actively like make sure everybody's okay, then it's harder. He's a very small little Wookiee right here. Drawing clothing is not easy. Yeah, I almost didn't pick this one, this suggestion, because I didn't have context for like Life Day other than, you know, what's been shared around the internet. But I've been wanting to draw Wookiees for a while, so. Danny says, I love all the Galaxy's merch they have for Life Day. Like Galaxy's Edge merch. Yeah. I like that they celebrate it. There. Dan says, I'm late for a very important date. Hi, Dan. Hi, Bran. He says, how are you today? I'm a little exhausted, honestly. We're getting ready to do Elf the Musical for our holiday show. And I went and worked in the costume shop today, just trying to get everything organized. So like labeling costumes and stuff like that. And then creating a pieces list, which is basically every single costume piece gets listed out per look and per actor. And I don't know why, like I don't feel like I exerted myself a ton, but I just came home and I was like, man, I feel like I didn't breathe enough. Does that ever happen to you guys where you're like, man, I just realized I probably should have been breathing more? Like, I feel better now. I kind of gave myself a moment to just sit and breathe, and it helped. But I felt like I was holding my breath a lot today. And there was one part where I was actually conscious of it. I was like resizing photos, but they were like super small, and like because I was doing all this on an iPad, like the slightest movement would change it a ton, and so I was like trying not to breathe and like have my breath mess with it. But I think I took it a little too far with the no breathing thing. Oh man. Oops. Dan says, sorry I'm late. It's no worries. I was just kind of chilling. And then I was talking with Danny for a bit. Bran says, same, I got no real rest this weekend, but that's fine, I guess. Yeah, I feel that. I actually did a lot this weekend compared to what I usually do. Well, that's not true. I was pretty busy every weekend in October, but that was for shows and work technically. This weekend I actually went to go see a couple shows and spent time with people. And I was like, geez, literally every single day we had something we were doing. Oh, yay, no rest. Perfect. For an introvert, seeing a lot of people, back to back like that is a big commitment. So, and then I'm going to be working all week in the shop. So I'll be seeing a lot of people. Yeah, I don't know why I did that to myself, but hopefully this coming weekend I'll get a breather. Have a moment. Chewie looks like he has a beard. I mean, he is very hairy, so that kind of checks out, but I'm doing with this nose here. I am not making it very accurate. That's okay. I'm probably not even going to end up drawing all these lines on here. I just want it for my sketch so I know kind of where I'm going with everything. Let's see. Dan says end of daylight savings time doesn't help. Definitely not. You know what's really stupid is my brain goes, I get an extra hour of sleep. That means I can stay up an extra hour. So I actually watched the clock change. It wasn't like a planned thing. It just sort of happened and I was like, cool, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. And then it wasn't 2 o'clock, it was 1 o'clock. Magic. Was not planning to stay up that late, but I did. So I ended up, I mean, I still got to sleep in the next day, but just one of those things of why does my brain tell me that I have time? And so then I lose more sleep. It's not logical at all. Or wise. Dan says, I got stuck on a phone call. Oh, before this. Bran says, I stained my fence and dealt with the DMV. Wow, that is a lot of work. Yeah, that's a lot to do on a weekend. Dan says, not stuck, but my phone call lasted a little longer than anticipated. And he says, seeing back-to-back people is exhausting. Yes. Yes, it is. And he says, so you're doing Life Day. Yes, I am. It was one of those things where, Life Day is coming up, so I thought it would be a good time to try and draw some Wookiees. Because I've never drawn Wookiees before. Fun fact. Somebody's telling me I need to make this head taller. Yeah, I've always been kind of intimidated by fur, and I feel like I have a better grasp on it now, since doing Inktober, doing that fox thing, the Vulptex, and practicing with that. I was like, oh, this is actually not as intimidating as it feels. Bran says, I watched it change too, and I stayed up another 2 hours watching Last Airbender. I love that though. You at least were doing something. I was doom scrolling. I literally was just like scrolling on my phone. I think I had a cat on my lap. I might have been stuck with a cat. But regardless, I was up way later than I wanted to be. Kiffin was already asleep in bed, like, for several hours by the time I got there, so. Dan says, I was thinking if I traveled, it would have been worse. Like, if I went to Chicago, 2-hour change. Like, daylight savings time. Oh, yeah. Travel to Colorado would be a 3-hour difference, because right now it's 2-hour difference for you. So, yeah, that'd be crazy. I don't think I've ever traveled during daylight savings, ever. Yeah, I wonder what that would be like. Dan says, they just made a Wookiee Life Day figure. I kind of want. Aw. Yeah, Life Day is kind of making a resurgence in the fandom and like kind of solidifying as a real holiday or event. Even though most people think the holiday special sucks. Like, we all have our disagreements within the fandom of, like, you know, I'm a prequels kid, they're my favorite, and other people who are like, prequels suck, or sequels, but sequels suck. But across the board, pretty much everybody can be like, yeah, no, it sucks. Everybody should watch it, but it sucks. And my brothers wouldn't even let me watch it when I was younger. They were like, no, it's horrible. It is so bad. I'm not going to make you sit through it. And at the time, I thought they were doing me a favor, but now I'm like, I want to see it. I want to know what I'm missing, Brandon says, oh, I did get a chance to watch Spirited Away last night. That was my first time watching a Studio Ghibli movie. Nice. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli? To me, logically, it looks like Ghibli, but I feel like I've heard people say Ghibli, and I don't want to pronounce it wrong. I have not watched any anime films. I watched Avatar, Last Airbender. Trying to think if there's anything that would qualify. I have a lot on my list of things I want to watch. I just haven't actually sat down and watched them yet. Dan says he's wearing a Snuggie. He also says best part is the cartoon. I've heard that one's fun. Brian says, when it comes to the whole prequels, sequels upset, I always tend to lean toward no Star Wars is worse than less good Star Wars. Yeah, I completely agree. I will never get upset when we're getting more Star Wars. I'm here for it. Dan says, I know, I had this conversation the other night. It's like GIF versus GIF. Yeah, I will stand by GIF with a very strong... It's like, I feel about GIF the same way I feel about the Oxford comma. Actually, that's not true. I have a much stronger opinion of the Oxford comma. But GIF is the proper way to say it, and I can back it up with facts. So, hello, creator program. Welcome. He says, or they say, I don't know, gender. They say, Revenge of the Sith was one of Studio Ghibli's best films. That's funny. Brandon says, I really love the shows we've been getting. Favreau and Filoni are so good for the fandom. I totally agree. Totally agree. Dan says, I say Studio Ghibli. Yeah, it is the logical way to say it with English phonetics, based on its spelling. Yes, Bran, exactly. He says if the G in GIF didn't stand for graphic, it could be GIF, but that's not the case. So literally, that's exactly what I say to people all the time. Like, the G stands for graphic. So it's a G sound, a hard G. Sorry, I suppose I should be drawing. Just looking at y'all's comments. I always feel like Wookiees look like dogs when you draw them. Dan says it is GIF, and it is. Anyone who says GIF is incorrect. Mostly because GIF is a peanut butter, and GIF doesn't have any other meaning. So to keep confusion out of the conversation, GIF just makes more sense. Keeps things clearer. That's, I mean, honestly, that's any grammar rule that I abide or that I insist upon is purely for clearness of communication. When people don't use punctuation in texts, I'm like, do you realize how much I have to work to understand what you're saying? That's unkind. I want to be as kind as possible in my communications, not just with what I say, but with how I say it, so that people aren't doing extra work to try to figure out what I'm trying to say. And it also eliminates people misunderstanding me, because some people won't even go through the work to figure out what I'm trying to say. So as long as I just say it straight up the way that I want to say it, and I have the proper punctuation, then that's a lot harder to be misunderstood. I guess I really just hate being misunderstood. We'll just, yeah, go with that. Brand says the Oxford comma saves lives. It absolutely does. I feel very strongly about the Oxford comma, and people who don't use it, I'm like, no, 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 we must use this. It was given to us for our protection. I don't know, that just makes him look like he's beefy. Dan says, I think George based Wookiees on his dog. What? Would make sense. Yeah. Brand says, their faces look like they're Yorkies that got stretched a bit. Yeah. Okay, I don't think I want to do their feet. I think I'm just gonna let it kind of fade out on this side. I also want to try a different sort of style of art where I'm leaving the line art kind of behind it and like coloring it with the line art, but like not. I don't know how to say this. Instead of having the line art be like the outside, having the whole thing kind of come together. I don't know if I'm saying that properly. This nose is just a problem. That's better. Yeah, their lips are a little less, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about these lips. Kind of want them to be like smiling a little bit. Damn, what are Brussels Griffins? Also, Dan, Wookiees has 2 E's in it. Just a fun fact that most people don't know. And I know because I'm Chewbacca. Dan said, excuse me, in all caps, and then said Wookiees with 2 E's. It just looks like he's it's like his teeth or something. It's funny. It's funny to me. Okay, let's I don't know, let's add some color. Let's see what we can do here. Let's try. meant to grab a blanket before I sat down. It's cold over here. So the idea with doing it like this is that I see my sketch, so I know sort of, it's almost like painting instead of just like filling in lines. So like I can add my shadows and my light and stuff, and then I can remove the sketch layer and it'll look more like a painting instead of, you know, I don't know. Again, I'm trying this out. I might start doing this and be like, I hate this. But I don't draw this way very often. And I want to try. Dan says, is this the first time you've drawn Wookiees? It is very much the first time. I've actually had somebody kind of just waiting for me to release a Wookiee design. And I've been like, I'm scared. Like, I want to be able to make something for you, but I'm scared because of all the fur. But yeah, I feel more confident now after Inktober. Dan says, my favorite Wookiee, Gungi. I love Gungi too. He's so cute. His little snaggletooth. Yeah. Dan says the young Wookiee reminded me of him. Yeah, I definitely have Gunji in my head. While I was drawing him, I was like, yep, that's my reference I'm going off of here. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna grab a blanket. It's cold. Thankfully, it's not that far. Okay. Dan asks, what about the fur gives you trouble? I think there was kind of this idea in my head. Well, I don't know. I think it was probably just me knowing I could do it if I tried, but also feeling like I didn't know what I was doing. That's actually probably one of the biggest things that keeps me stagnant, or in the past has kept me from trying something new or pushing through a task, is the feeling that I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I really value competency in myself, and I don't want to, in general, I don't want to be the person who I don't know, I guess makes people think that I'm smarter than I am, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. I don't want people to rely on me for something that I don't feel comfortable doing, like, or confident doing, because then when I, or if I, because not always is it a when, sometimes it's just me being afraid, and if I did it, I'd be fine. But if I'm unable to complete something that somebody's expecting from me, makes me feel like a failure. Even if they're like, oh, that's fine, you're whatever. I guess I just have really high standards for myself. And they could have been self-imposed because of my personality or, something I picked up in my childhood, but my goodness, let's all go to therapy tonight. Sorry about that. I went deep really fast. But yeah, I think I just kind of psyched myself out and was afraid that I needed to practice before I could really commit to drawing something for somebody. And that was the main thing, is that it was somebody I knew who really wanted me to draw a Wookiee. And I'm like, I want to be able to draw this for you, but I have a feeling I'm just going to disappoint you. So I'm not going to even do it. Which was not smart, because it robbed me of the ability to learn something new. So here I am, facing my fears. Well, it's honestly, like I said, not that much more of a fear than, because I do feel more confident drawing for, I think it was just like, it's kind of the same way with clothes for me. I'm like, I know that there needs to be some kind of like fluff involved and like hair lines, but like, how do I put them on? It's the same with clothes. Like, there's crease lines, but like, where do I put them? How do I make it look realistic without it, just looking stupid? So, yeah, there's still a lot of that for me where I'm like, what am I doing? But I can't get better if I don't practice. And I thought this prompt was a good opportunity to practice. Or not the prompt, the idea that somebody suggested. Dan says, but this isn't the commission. No, this is just practice. Yes, this is just practice. There's no pressure on this. If it sucks, and I can just move on. And it's no big deal. Nobody's relying on me for this. Which feels safe, But I do want to get better at it because I want to be able to like draw people's pets. I think that would be so fun. Like, do commissions like that, which, kind of requires at least some amount of confidence with drawing for actually put that on a separate layer. How do other people do this? I know a lot of people who draw like this. It might be that they do leave their sketch there, and then they clean it up later. That might be what it is. You don't really know someone's drawing process unless you're able to watch it from start to finish and, oops, and then actually remember what they did. I feel like I've watched a few people draw this way. They add the colors, and there's like a base color, and then they add more colors on top, and it's all chaotic. Dan says, are you going to do shading on their hair? That's the other thing that really intimidates me. Honestly, light and shadow in general intimidates me. I know very simple basics when it comes to that sort of thing. Is that brown? Yeah. But yeah, it still scares me. Especially with fur. I was trying to do like a Lothal landscape with all the grass, and I like rage quit because I couldn't figure out how to like do the shadows and the light in the grass. I was like, this is gonna be the death of me, so I'm just gonna stop before I make myself angry. Dan says, if this is practice, try some stuff out. Yeah, that was what I was thinking too. I want to figure all this stuff out. If I can. Sometimes I can't figure it out on my own. Sometimes I have to watch a few YouTube videos to figure stuff out. Last thing I want to try out is Luminance. Maybe the brush. How big is this? Oh, nope, we don't want the brush. We want the pen. And we want it to be this color. Whatever color was here. I'm gonna erase all this. Not used to this pen or brush. I think this is technically a brush. Oops, I didn't mean to do it on that layer. Sorry, we're going back. Oh, I changed my... That explains a lot, honestly. Dan says, I love the Wookiee lips. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about them yet. He also says, have you experimented with all the different types of brushes? I have not. I mean, like, you can play, excuse me, you can play around with a bunch, but, like, there's tons in, like, each section. And, like, you can play around with them all you want, but, like, it's hard if you're not, like, actually applying it to something. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I could just doodle with all of these, but I'm not really gonna know what looks good with a different, like, with a certain type of thing. And then I purchased some extra things, so I have a ton. There's a ton to work with. I typically, when I'm practicing, I will go for something that I've watched someone else use, so I'll, test it with that. But yeah, otherwise, it's hard. Danny, I think you mean how much experience do I have with drawing fur? And the answer is not very much at all. Yeah, I drew that, what am I doing? I need to be coloring this. Is it the same color? I don't know. We're gonna say yes. I drew that Vulptex during Inktober, and that kind of opened my eyes to, like, oh, that's how this works. But yeah, I wouldn't say that that's qualified experience. It was just a moment of learning, which I feel like is most of what I do with drawing. I feel like most artists, honestly, are just in a process of learning until they get to something that they're really comfortable doing and that they enjoy doing. So, yeah. I don't know if that made sense. I don't love this. Because again, it's like I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'm doing here. Let's go back to this. not what I wanted to do. Dan says, would it help trying to open the mouth, showing a little teeth? Potentially. That might help, yes. His shoulder's a little too up over there. It's better. No, that's what I want. Hi, Sammy. I'm finally drawing a Wookiee, just like your mom always dreamed. Ah, frick. I didn't realize when I backspaced earlier, I put this back in. Oh, that doesn't work very well if that's not filled in properly. Sammy says, this is what I was thinking is my mom would love this. I'm sorry I'm so late. I just got home like 30 minutes ago. Don't worry about it. It is no problemo. What's it doing? Black, that's what I need. Oops, don't actually want that, do we? Yeah, it feels like it's erasing way more. Why is it doing that? Oh, because I wasn't erasing. That'll do it. So I'll try and get rid of like this halo. Or the drawn halo. I want it to just be what it is. Oh, again, I was erasing. I swear, that would be the death of me. Danny asks, have you rated anyone on Twitch yet? I am not 100% sure what that means. Probably not. But I would love it if you'd explain that to me. Sammy says, do you have the option to make nightshirts on your Etsy? I don't think so. Best I would suggest would be to just buy like a bigger t-shirt. Sammy says it's where you drop your viewers into another stream. Oh. I don't know how to do that. Oh, there's a button down here. No, that's a mod view. I have no idea how to do that. That'd be something for the YouTube to let me know how to make that happen. Dan says, I don't want to go to another stream. I like it here. Danny says you can put /raid plus the name of the person you are raiding. Okay. I don't think I've ever been streaming with somebody like at the same time as somebody else to want to like throw my people into their stream. Does that make sense? Danny says, I was asking because I have 2 other art friends here on Twitch, and I was wondering if you'd like to raid them at the end. Oh. I don't know their names. Would I just put /raid and then their name? And then I would send all of you guys there? How does that work? What's it doing here? I just don't want it to have an edge right on the edge of the light, and it's pretty obvious that it does. But it's like making it blue, which is weird. Why is it doing that? still on? This is way trickier than my normal way of doing things. Like, way trickier. Dan says, I don't know how it works either. Good, I'm not alone. Danny says, no worries. Yes, if you want to check them out beforehand and decide for future streams, usually people raid people during doing similar content. That makes sense. And then there's me, who just raids whoever he feels like at the time. I love it. I have a feeling that I'm not going to finish this before we're done here, but this was mostly for practice. So even if it's not perfect, we're gonna love it and accept it. Sammy says, when I watched Smite streamers a lot, they would raid me into other Smite streams. Wraithen? One of the bigger streamers would usually find a more smaller viewership streamer and raid them. That's nice. I'm sure they appreciate that. I've been raided before. I had no idea what was going on. I was like, cool, what's this? Danny says, at least you didn't think they were bots. I mean, there was a moment where I was like, who dat? Who are you? Why are you here? But then I realized, because I've watched, like, my brother used to have a Twitch that he was, well, he still has it, but he was, like, an active, like, gamer on Twitch, and I used to watch his streams, and I, like, had some familiarity with, like, his experience, but yeah, still kind of confusing. Dan says, I'm clearly an old man. I don't know anything about Twitch. I mean, I haven't learned how to use it. Yeah. There's still plenty that I don't understand either, so I get it. So difficult. You don't know what you're doing. Sammy says, Dan, I'm with you. Being back in grade school and the undergrads say things that I'm like, make me feel old. Why don't you? Like, they didn't know who John Cusack is. Yeah, that was me when I started working at a coffee shop with primarily teenagers. I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is what my parents always felt like. This is what, older people who were talking with me when I was younger always felt like. I'm like, oh no, it's coming to me. I don't understand what you're saying. I was gonna be the cool, hip, old person, but now I have no idea what's going on. Not keeping up with the times. Sammy says I spent 15 minutes trying to make some kind of connection for them. Like, say anything. Sorry, my thing is freaking out. Like, say anything. And then I said, what about Easy A? The references say anything, and it's still nothing. I was like, I give up. Chris has that same problem, Becca, except I think they're college kids. Yeah. I'm not sure if I've even seen John Cusack in a movie. I know exactly who he is. But I truly don't know if I've seen him in a movie before. I feel like he's a voice in some movie that I've seen. I don't like that. That's okay still. Dan says John Cusack needs to do a Marvel movie. That way the kids will know who he is. He can be Captain Stacy, Sammy says. He'd be a good Captain Stacy. Would mean we need another Spider-Man reboot, though. Whoa. Sammy says, no, Spider-Gwen. That'd be cool. Spider-Gwen movie. With John as her dad. I love it. Sammy says, I have a fanfic I can write. We can use that as a template. I think I'm feeling kind of done with this one for now. I don't really want to add any more or take any more away. I think I'm just gonna call it a day. It's not finished, but it's something, and something is better than nothing because you can work with something. But yeah, I just kind of want to call it. And I have a kid who has decided she wants to eat right now. if you couldn't tell. Goodness, baby. So needy. Sammy says, mine is more centered around the mutants than Winter Soldier. And she says, I like it, Becca. Thanks. Dan says, me too. Thanks. Sammy says, the mutants were her first Marvel love. Yeah, I never got into those movies. I honestly still haven't seen X-Men. I've watched X-Men Origins, and I fell asleep during Days of Future Past. Because I was exhausted. It had nothing to do with the quality of the movie, but I also hadn't seen any of the other movies, and I was tired out of my mind. I literally fell asleep before it even started. Because I went to see it in the theater the day it came out. Because that's what all my friends were doing. But I was really, I don't know why I did it. I just wanted to be around people who I wasn't going to be around for a while. Have one last little hoorah, but that hoorah ended up with me being asleep, so I don't know how worth it was. I'm glad you guys are becoming friends. Sammy says, Becca, try X-Men Evolution. Is that animated? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I see your comment down here. It's animated like Becca says some of the best stuff is animated. It's true. Yeah, the hard part is finding time to actually do all that. I barely have time to watch a lot of the shows I prioritize. Like, The Gilded Age just came out with, new stuff. There's a new episode last night, I think. Yeah. Or just yesterday in general. And I still haven't seen it yet, even though I really love that show. But I also am going to be prioritizing the next Fourth Wing book, which comes out tomorrow. So, yeah. There's a lot. Sammy says, me right now with Rebels and She-Hulk and Secret Invasion. Oh. Yeah, Rebels is easily the best show of those three that you just named. So easily. And I know I'm a Rebels fan, and that's my favorite show, but, I did not enjoy the other two. We'll just say that. Oh, Dan, you watched a few minutes of season 2 of The Gilded Age? Did you watch any or all of season 1? 'Cause we should talk about it if you have. Danny, are those otters or is that actually a Wookiee? They look like otters. Oh. Wait, it was just on? Isn't it an HBO thing? Did you just like randomly have it on? Or it just like started playing? Yeah, it's really good. Huh. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And you being from Jersey, it's set in old New York, and a lot of the actors in the show are Broadway veterans. So it's very exciting to see like, oh, it's so and so from that show. So yeah, I recommend it. It's very good. Yeah, your dad might enjoy it if he's from New York. Okay, I'm calling it quits for tonight. I might do more on this later. We'll see. Sometimes I just have to take a break from something in order to like finish it and polish it off later, especially when I'm doing stuff that's out of my comfort zone. I might go and watch a few YouTube videos and see if I can wrap my head around some of this like shadow and lighting stuff and like clothing creases and all that to make it a little bit easier for me to make this look better. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go. We're almost at 2 hours anyways, so Dan. Oh my god. Thank you, Sammy. Oh. Bye, Danny. Alright, I hope you guys have a good night. We'll do this again next week. That's my plan, is to do it like every Monday. Because Mondays are the days I know that I will have availability. So yeah. We'll see y'all next time. Bye!